when God calls you, he calls you. And he calls you with what you have in your hand. In Exodus chapters 3 and 4, it's sort of this discourse between God and Moses. At the beginning of chapter 4, we're getting towards the end of it. And God says to Moses, Moses, what's that in your hand? Because Moses he keeps saying, I'm not good enough. I'm not this enough. I'm not that enough. I don't speak well enough. But in chapter 4, verse number 2, the Lord asked him, what is that in your hand? And Moses says, a shepherd's staff. And I think that you and that we have a shepherd's staff. That's what we've got. If you're a mechanic, God says, what is that in your hand? You'd say, well, it's a wrench. It's a socket. It's an impact gun. It's this trade. It's this thing that I know. It's this part of who I am. It's a good attitude. It's the ability to talk to people. That part of who you are and what God has called you to do. That's your shepherd's staff. But God asked Moses to throw it down. He says, hey, I'm going to prove to you that I can do something miraculous. Take that shepherd's staff. Throw it down on the ground and watch me change it into something different. So God changes it into a snake as a means of proving to Moses, A, that he can do it, and B, proving to Moses that he has qualified Moses to do this job that he's asked Moses to do. So when Moses has to go before Pharaoh, God's like, don't worry, Moses. I've got this. I can prove that you're my chosen instrument, that you're the shepherd staff in your hands. Just like that shepherd staff is in your hands, you're in my hands. And I can change you into something different than what people think you are right now, because you're not just a shepherd. You're this chosen thing that I'm going to miraculously transform into being the mouthpiece of God in this case. But if you look at verse 20 in chapter 4, you'll notice that it says, Moses took his wife and sons, put them on a donkey. He's being obedient. He's following what God is asking him to do. He puts them on a donkey, headed back to the land of Egypt. He's like, okay, God, you proved it. You proved it. I'm going to go. I'm going to be obedient here and do what you're asking me to do. And in his hand, he carried the staff of God. Moses isn't carrying a shepherd's staff anymore. Now he's carrying God's staff. So here's the deal. When you keep that thing, that skill, that innate part of who you are, and you don't actually allow God to take control of it, if you don't give up ownership of that piece of who you are that you know God has asked for you to put down, like, hey, give me this gift. Let me multiply it. Let me change it. It's going to stay a shepherd's staff. It's going to stay a mechanic's wrench or a screwdriver or a megaphone. It's going to stay what it is. But if you'll give it to God, he'll change it. He'll multiply it. He'll do a miracle with it, and he'll change it into the staff of God. So let go. I encourage you today, just let go. God is asking you to throw it down, not just so that he can prove to you something, but so that he can do something through you, so that he can use you to do a good work, something amazing. So I encourage you today, whatever shepherd's staff you have, put it on the ground. Watch God do something amazing with it. And pick it back up and take it with you. And this time, it's not a shepherd's staff. It's a God staff. And this time, you're not a shepherd's staff anymore either. But you can be something new. Be blessed.